In 1802, Napoleon sent about 5,000 Polish soldiers to Haiti to crush the slave rebellion. The Poles, who had fought for their own freedom, were told they were suppressing a convict revolt. But when they arrived, they saw the truth. They were being used to re-enslave a people, fighting for the very same ideals they cherished. After Haiti declared its independence, these Polish fighters were granted honorary citizenship and land, a powerful symbol of solidarity and the universal struggle for freedom. It's a forgotten piece of history that shows how our shared humanity can overcome even the orders of an emperor.
French positions collapse, cannons abandoned, ships leave overloaded with sick survivors, jungle reclaims forts, a torn French flag sinks into mud. January 1804, Haiti declares independence. Cheers erupt, but the camera lingers on scars, graves, missing limbs. Polish survivors stand among Haitians. And sure if they belong, citizenship papers written by hand, Polish names recorded. A Haitian leader speaks the words, "The white Negroes of Europe," not insult, recognition. Polish soldiers settle in Haitian villages, intermarriage, children learning Creole and Polish prayers, fields cultivated together. Time passes through visual dissolves. Modern-day Kazali. Faces that carry echoes of both continents. Elders speak. Children play. Old Polish surnames spoken with Caribbean rhythm. Photographs fade into living faces. Sunrise over Haiti. Snow falling in Poland. Two skies dissolve into one. Freedom recognizes its own. Imagine, it's the late 18th century. In France, the streets echo with cries of liberty, equality, fraternity. The French Revolution is tearing down an old world, promising a new dawn of freedom for all. But across the Atlantic, in the French colony of Saint-Domingue, those words sound like a cruel joke. Here, on the island that would become Haiti, hundreds of thousands of enslaved people are suffering under one of the most brutal systems of forced labor the world has ever known. The air isn't filled with hope, but with the crack of the whip and the cries of the oppressed. This stark contrast, this hypocrisy, is the fuse that will light the fire of the Haitian Revolution. The enslaved people of Saint-Domingue, led by brilliant commanders like Toussaint Louverture and later Jean-Jacques Dessalines, rise up. They fight not just for their own freedom, but for the very soul of the revolutionary ideals that France claims to champion. It's a bloody, desperate struggle against one of the most powerful empires on earth. The French are losing their grip on their most profitable colony, the Pearl of the Antilles. They're losing control, and they're becoming desperate. Enter Napoleon Bonaparte. Ambitious, ruthless, and determined to restore French authority and, crucially, slavery in Saint-Domingue, he amasses a massive invasion force. But he needs soldiers. Experienced, tough soldiers. His eyes turned to a group of men who knew all too well what it meant to fight for freedom against a powerful empire, the Polish Legionnaires. So, who were these Polish soldiers? To understand their story, we have to go back a few years. Poland, once a great European power, had been literally wiped off the map, carved up and partitioned by its powerful neighbors, Russia, Prussia, and Austria. For a Polish patriot, this was an unbearable tragedy. Many fled, dreaming of the day they could fight to restore their homeland. They saw a potential ally in Napoleon Bonaparte. He was at war with the very empires that had destroyed Poland. So, they formed legions in his service, fighting all across Europe, from Italy to Germany. Their motto was simple, for our freedom and yours. They believed that by helping Napoleon, they were paving the way for a free and independent Poland to rise again. They were veterans, hardened by years of war. They fought with a fierce passion, driven by the dream of liberating their own nation. So when Napoleon gives them a new order in 1802, they obey. They are to sail to a distant Caribbean island called Saint-Domingue and help crush a slave revolt. They're told it's a simple police action, a mission to restore order. They are told the rebels are savages, uncivilized and brutal, packing their woolen European uniforms, completely unsuited for the tropical heat. They board the ships, believing they are serving the cause of France, and by extension, their own Polish dream. Little do they know, they are sailing toward a crisis of conscience that will change their lives, and the course of Haitian history forever. When the Polish Legionnaires land in Saint-Domingue, the reality of the situation hits them like a physical blow. The tropical heat is suffocating, and disease, particularly yellow fever, begins to ravage their ranks. But it's not just the climate that shocks them, it's the mission itself. This isn't the glorious battle for freedom they had imagined. They see the local population not as savages, but as people fighting with desperate courage for the one thing the Poles themselves cherished above all else: freedom. They hear the stories of the Haitian rebels. They learn about the horrors of the slave system they are being asked to enforce. They see French commanders commit unspeakable atrocities, mass executions, and brutal tortures that make their stomachs turn. The parallels are impossible to ignore. They see in the Haitian struggle a mirror image of their own fight for Poland's independence. The Haitians are fighting foreign occupiers who want to deny them their right to self-determination. How is that any different from what the Russians, Prussians, and Austrians did to their homeland? The French generals demand absolute brutality. But the Polish soldiers start to hesitate. Their letters home are filled with disillusionment and disgust. One Polish officer famously wrote, "They tricked us. Did you know that thousands of Polish soldiers fought for Napoleon? It sounds strange, right? But back then, Poland had been wiped off the map by its neighbors. Many Poles saw Napoleon as their only hope to restore their nation. They formed the Polish legions, fighting with incredible bravery across Europe, from Italy to Spain, believing their sacrifice would bring back a free Poland. But then, Napoleon gave them a shocking new order: sail across the Atlantic to the Caribbean island of Haiti. Their mission: to crush a slave rebellion led by formerly enslaved people fighting for their own freedom. The Caribbean exploded into color and violence. Burning plantations, jungle ambushes, and brutal retaliation became their new reality. The Polish soldiers witnessed executions, their faces hardening not with hatred, but with confusion. Yellow fever ravaged the camps. Soldiers grew delirious as their skin burned. Mass graves were dug hurriedly while the jungle watched silently. The Polish soldiers realized this war was not what they were promised. Polish and Haitian fighters trained together, sharing water and tactics, fighting side by side against imperial forces. Toussaint Louverture appears not as a myth, but as a calm strategist, measured, composed, resolute. These Polish soldiers, who were fighting for their own country's liberty, were now being sent to take away someone else's. This tragic and little-known chapter of history is full of irony and heartbreak. Want to learn what happened next? Subscribe for more incredible stories from the past.